Hey everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to our first dev stream for EL2, I guess. I don't think we've streamed it before. And of course, for the first dev stream, we have a very special guest, our game director, Derek, who is willing to answer all of your questions that I will not chastise him for answering.
That sounds fair. I thought you were going to say our special guest was Sergio, who is getting ready to play for us, and we're going to make fun of him while he plays. It's going to be so much fun.
Hey, I'm hidden behind the cameras.
I mean, Sergio is a wonderful guest to have, but he's a frequent guest on the streams, so I'm not sure special guest is the right description.
Okay.
Yes, you are the special guest.
I am very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, then I guess we should start. I think at the beginning we have planned to play a bit of the King of Sheredyn, so that way you can have fun about me, of me or with me. I will leave up to you.
Well, we will see if you laugh or not.
True. And we're just gonna start playing. I'm not sure if you would like to have a quick introduction of the King of Sheredyn, Derek. Like, what's the main purpose of the faction overall, just for the people that is joining us?
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and start playing, and we can talk over you and kind of what we put in and what way they work. We actually did a lot of iteration on the kin. They are the faction that we expect most people to play for the first time.
Oh, as we are doing right now, because they are. I personally always insiders ask me, hey, what faction should we start playing with, or when colleagues who haven't tried the game yet because they've recently joined the company ask, hey, what's a good faction to start with? I always say yes, try the kin first, because they have the uniqueness, but they don't completely override any of the game systems, so you can explore the entirety of the game.
Before Sergio founds this city, one of the things that we do in Endless Legend 2 is you see up at the top he's getting a prepared settlement bonus, which just means every turn he doesn't found his capital, he gets a bonus. And the reason we do this is because we want players to be able to take their time. Other 4Xs have kind of trained us that you drop your capital first turn. And Humankind had an interesting mechanic where you couldn't. There was a phase at the beginning of the game to not force you, but to explore the world before you could even found a city. And that was very cool. The players got to kind of see where they were and decide where they wanted to place their city. In Endless Legend 2, we didn't want to force players to have to take X amount of turns before they could found. We wanted them to be able to found first turn if they wanted to, but we didn't want them to be disadvantaged if they didn't do it. Because in other games, like if you don't found first turn and your opponent does, then they're 6 turns ahead of you, and all bonuses kind of have compound interest on them, so you're just behind from the get-go. But since you get this bonus, if you spend 10 turns looking around the map, you're going to end up getting all those yields back anyway, so you don't feel like you get punished if you want to take time. Yeah,
it's definitely good to look around for a nice spot. Sergio in this case was lucky because he was starting near an anomaly that gives approval, which is one of the strongest types of anomaly you can find on the starting island. But he still took some time to explore because maybe he could have found a better spot.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to make fun of him for it, this is a really good starting spot. He's got a couple anomalies that are just out of reach too, that he'll be able to expand to and grab those bonuses. So that was a wise choice, I must admit.
I know you want me to try to get the worst spot, but actually that was a really good spot.
When Cat plays, that's what we'll do. We'll force her. No, you have to do it right there.
I have settled here in the middle of this barren desert. In the middle of the island, far away from all water that the aspects love.
Yes.
Yes. And I guess I should start just doing what I do best. Conquest people.
Yeah, I mean, you are playing the Sheredyn, the elite guard of Emperor Zelivas. There's 2 things that the United Empire does well: conquest and yelling at people.
Yeah, the Ken are turtle builders. They're really good at defensive fortifications, and they get bonuses based on it. So if you are the kind of player that just wants to dig in and slowly expand and have this impossible wall to be able to break through, then they are a good faction for you. We had lots of mechanics early on. I mentioned that we did lots of iteration on them. but we had all the separate mechanics didn't really feel like they all came together in one place. So we actually added the entrenchment gauge up there in the upper left. So they're measured. They actually get bonuses that they unlock as they build up the fortifications in their cities. So it kind of pulled all those things together. As they fortify their cities, they unlock new bonuses. They can build more chosen. They unlock new holy commandments.
The holy commandments, especially, I think, are quite fun and can be very powerful, because effects like, oh yes, refresh the entire movement of your army,
Yeah.
is very good for defense, and then you add a chosen, and suddenly it's very good for offense.
Yeah. It's interesting because when you have a faction that has basically magical powers, that the player can say, I want to do this thing right now. Like you said, I want to refresh all the moves on this army. I want to heal this army. I want to call down the wrath of the skies and just do massive damage in this entire area. Those are not skills that you would normally put with a defensive faction. But what the designers did that was super clever was you can only use these skills in your own borders. So that made them, yes, they have these powerful skills, but they can only use them in their own borders, or there's one other exception.
Yes, the chosen. They serve as targeting beacons on top of, being massive, powerful mecha units. So
Yeah, it works so well, but the player has limited amount of them, so he has to be really careful about where he's deploying those chosen, because it extends the range for his holy abilities, and it's really, I like to think of them as mobile castles. They are increasingly...
it's definitely, and especially, after you build the chosen, you can possibly upgrade them a few times if you have the resources for it, and they get more and more powerful, get more abilities of themselves, and the chosen themselves have active abilities in combat as well. We're seeing the questions about the OST on coming to Spotify. I don't have a specific date. All I can tell you is probably not soon, because the game isn't out yet. So you'll have to have a bit more patience, even if I very much understand the impatience for Arno's music.
Did you just see a flying squirrel on the screen? So I'm not sure how that got into the game, but okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But
having technical difficulties over here. Or the developers have been sneaking things in, one of the two.
Saiadha is a mysterious place. I do not question it. But yeah, and there are so many good tracks in the OST that our players haven't even heard that I would love to gush about, but I can't.
Gosh, the composers are so talented.
Oh yes, Arno is.
You're going to be playing the aspects next, and then they have my favorite soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack is right. Yeah, but see, one of my favorite soundtracks is one I cannot mention.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I think we're thinking the same faction.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is so good.
What turn is it, Sergio?
We're on turn 8.
Okay.
Actually.
Really
So
early on, yet you've done a lot. You fought a battle, got your city capital going.
So basically, I started the main quest. So go to the ruins. I was here, just right here. And then I was asked to destroy the little necrophages over there. So just
the poor little necrophages.
And I could just go my first level of the hero.
Yeah.
A lot of option. So basically, just to give you a quick explanation, here on the left side is the skills that are related to my type of the hero. In this case, the archetype is an archer. So these are the skills that are only available for archers, not like warriors or defenders. Here is a mix between the King of Sheredyn, which is the right side in this case, and the archer. So it's kind of a special abilities, the hybrid in this case called. Should we go for full damage? Is an archer, or should we go for a supporter one?
You're the one playing, so you can make the choice.
Okay.
I already know what your choice will be.
I like this one. Display a bit. Yeah.
Also, I see Arcalis representing the opinion of many players in the community. Necrophages are friend-shaped.
Okay. Fair enough.
They all live in harmony. There's just one single hive mind.
So basically what I would like to do is get first the Ametrine, be my friends, basically, because it's the minor faction that I have on my region, and I really like the way if I can assimilate them. It's a really nice bonus. And then just keep conquering, basically. That's my plan.
Isn't keep conquering always your plan when you play 4X games?
Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna...
To be fair to you, it is a very effective plan in most 4X games.
What is this?
The minor factions that you assimilate, they're going to give you a bonus to your empire. They're going to unlock new population in your cities.
Exactly.
So this population have different bonus strengths and weaknesses. they're going to unlock new heroes for your empire, new notables, as well as give you new units that you can build. The Ametrine in particular, I don't tend to go for when I'm kin because they're very defensive and tanky
exactly.
already.
You're doubling up on the strengths you already have.
Exactly, but when I'm playing Aspect, like I love them because the Aspects are very archer and very fragile. So put the Ametrine out in front line, let my Aspect stay back. But
I guess, but starting near the Ametrine is also a stroke of luck because I have had too many games where I settled my city and then I looked around a bit more and found that the minor faction in my region was Hydracorns.
Oh, yeah. So that's another difference between Endless Legend 2 and Endless Legend 1. In Endless Legend 1, all of the minor factions were hostile, and in Endless Legend 2, some are and some aren't. The Ametrine are not hostile.
The Ametrine are not hostile, but also the Hydracorns, they have very strong damaging units. So even the kin shields did not hold up to them. Or those hooves will run you over.
Sergio's playing on a older build.
Yes.
So we could talk a little bit about things that have changed too. So that would be nice as we go through things and say, oh, yep, we've updated that. We've changed that around. And we do have an insiders program that's going on right now, getting tons of great feedback, and keep updating the build and re-releasing new versions of the build to the insiders so that they can play and they can let us know what they like, what we don't like, so that we'll be in a really good state for early access.
Yes, and for example, a lot of the economic bonuses in the cities are already outdated on this build.
Yes.
There's been changes to adjust the pacing, to fix some powerful combinations that some players may have found, and also the UI of the combat screen has been improved.
Yep. Just the readability, the feedback on the combat screen, like you see Sergio playing right now, and it looks beautiful. The units are doing their thing, but knowing, okay, how much damage am I going to do, and why am I doing that amount of damage? Oh, you're getting a bonus because you're on a higher elevation. You're getting a bonus because archers, get bonuses versus cavalry unit. Those kind of things weren't communicated very well in the build that Sergio's playing.
The damage preview is so much clearer now than it used to be. I mean, we did have a damage preview available in previous builds, but you had to manually turn it on.
Yeah.
And it was very easy to miss that option even existed. Yeah. So now it just always gives you the proper preview so you can see, oh yes, high ground bonuses, forest bonuses, special unit abilities, all of that.
That's so nice.
What do you think? Should they attach the region or too early? I really like.
What do you got in there that you're thinking about? Oh, the 2 more anomalies?
Yeah.
No resources, though.
Well, of course, it's a starting island.
Yeah, it's a starting island. There is no resources.
I'm used to. He's there, right there. So you're going to get one. So this is really cool. Zoom in on that. The oceans will recede, as most people know. But the cool thing about it is we kind of tease the player a little bit and show them, hey, listen, if you can see something sticking out of the water, what it means is when the next recess happens, that's going to become available. So you will see those. So you're going to get a hint that, okay, we know these lands are going to be revealed by the next tidefall. So you can kind of plan around, all right, I'm going to go ahead and take this region. I'm going to get over by there so that when tidefall occurs, I can go grab it.
And Sergio's luck with the world generation continues as he has both tier 1 resources near his starting island.
That's not something that is not. It's not frequent to me, but I'm here on the stream, so I'm lucky.
Yeah. We have a question in: is Endless Legend 2 built on Unity like the previous games?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
The short answer and the long answer, yes.
Amplitude has done a lot on the Unity build.
Oh yes, there's so much infrastructure that we've developed over the years for our games that help the engine manage the many visual assets and load them in a reasonable time. Because if you think, of course, we have a bunch of different visual assets for all of the different types of district, for all of the different factions, and was the same on Humankind, all the different architectures. So our tools programmers and our graphics programmers worked magic there, frankly, to make the game load reasonably quickly for as many assets as are being handled here.
I wasn't at Amplitude in 2014 when Endless Legend came out, but I just remember hearing that, oh my gosh, Amplitude's gonna do a fantasy 4X that's in the world. So there's a very big difference between making a game that's on a map and in space. Space is easy. You just put your little cool black background on there and you're done. There's a lot more work that you need to do to make land and mountains and water. Like all this stuff is super complex. And I heard,
you know, it's funny that you would say that, Barry, because that's what Omar always says when he talks about the history of Amplitude. He's like, yeah, the first game we made was Endless Space, was a Space 4X game because, you know, it's easier.
Yeah.
Just
it's true. That's yep, absolutely. So when I heard that Amplitude was going to be making Endless Legend on Unity, I thought, well, there's one of two things. It's either the graphics aren't going to be very good, or it's going to be very small maps. So you know, I don't know why they're going to do that. And then they came out with this beautiful game on large maps, and it wasn't until I came to Amplitude as one of my first questions to be like, how did you manage in 2014? Unity's amazing engine, and nowadays, you know, capable of a lot of things. But how did you do that in 2014? And they're like, oh, we did a lot of custom work.
Yeah, there's a lot of custom work, and I think some of our programmers have even given like Unity talks about the work we've done. And
I see somebody asking, you're worried about it cooking your old computer. Right now, the requirements are just where humankind was. So again, all credit to the developers, the graphics programmers for keeping the bar low. We have not increased the min spec from where humankind was.
Yes,
so.
and especially when you see it during the monsoon with all the lighting effects, the game is stunning.
I'm just hanging around waiting for the wonderful monsoon.
Yeah, one of the big changes in the current build is monsoon comes a lot earlier.
Yeah. Yep.
So right now you'd be into the first tidefall at this point in the later build.
Yeah, I think I get used to play that build. That's why I was like, why is it
not
happening? I
happening?
wanted the monsoon now.
They did a good job on it.
But it's fine. It's fine. This is the morning which I think the instant resolution is going to be a way better result than me fighting this.
You don't trust your own command abilities?
Nah, not
but
against
at some point we should
rangers.
have a proper manual battle, so
I
we can
already
talk a
did
bit about the
2 or 3.
He did, yeah.
but we should have
Ah,
another,
you did-
because we didn't talk about the battle affinity of the Sheredyn
so you
yet.
want me to play one battle that perhaps I
we
may
want
lose?
to. I'm talking about a battle that actually lasts more than like 3 attacks.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try, and if I die, then it's your fault. I need to blame anyone, not me.
I mean, the conventional wisdom of Twitch streamers is blame chat. So you just remove one letter and blame cat, and it's all fine. And of course, immediately he moves his units apart so that the battle affinity will not trigger.
So the Kin's battle affinity is they're a very defensive faction. So that really, when you go through the faction, Amplitude does a really good job of making sure that theme comes out in multiple ways. And for them, when they're in battle, if they are beside each other, they get a shield bonus.
Yes.
So they're basically temporary hit points. That is, as long as they're together. So an experienced Kin player always keeps his armies together to get those bonuses.
Exactly. Insert your favorite Roman legionnaire or Greek phalanx jokes here, please.
And you also notice Endless Legend 1 did not have battles like this, so this is new for the franchise to be able to have actual tactical command of your armies in battle to choose. These are the abilities that I'm going to use. This is where I'm going to move the unit. This is where I'm going to attack. It's all there for you. We still wanted to keep the battles very fast. It was important to us that you're not spending 30 minutes in a battle, in a big detailed battle, because at the end of the day, we are a 4X game. It's about managing your empire. It's about keeping the player, reminding the player's top of mind is always about his next goals for his empire. I want to get that next city. I want to complete that quest. I want to finish that technology so I can build a new thing, and not forgetting that because he just fought a battle for 30 minutes. So.
Yep.
So they had to be fast, but they also we gave more tactical depth there than in.
Yeah, I've definitely, in many other games that have detailed battles, that definitely happens to me. So, I'm finally done with the battle. What was I doing?
Yeah,
and
that's fine. If you are a detailed tactical game, then that's great. Then do that and have those detailed battles. It's just not what.
It's not what we're here for with Endless Legend. Even though we have a slightly more personal focus, I guess, with everything being a little more zoomed in. Individual buildings in the cities, the greater focus on the heroes, with them even having an entourage, which which has changed from how it is in this build. It's highlighted a lot better. But yeah, your heroes have like a friend and a partner, and they can have enemies and
Now
even
that
a
you mentioned
nemesis.
Let's show it up.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you want to go over how we've changed it to highlight it more?
Sure. So Sergio right now is selecting who he wants the companion for his hero to be. Heroes have relationships with each other, just like you as the leader of your empire may have a relationship with the leaders of other empires. They can select a companion. The nemesis, the person they hate, it's all depending on game situations. So if you get into battle with another empire's hero and you kill them, they will remember who you are. You become their nemesis then. Or if they kill you, the heroes will be revived, but that hero is going to remember who killed them. And then as a nemesis, they get bonuses if they go and fight and defeat that character later on. So that's the current system. In the latest build, what we're playing with is we just wanted to be this more ingratiated into gameplay. So instead of just being able to go to that screen and select your companion whenever you want to, the hero has to hit particular requirements. So when he gets to a level requirement, he's able to build a haven once he has, and the player can choose where they want to put that haven, what they want to do, what region they want to have it be in. And then once they have a haven, then they can select a companion. So it's more of a path for the hero to follow. He has to do things. You have to go through steps in order to earn that companion. And so there's more of a story being told instead of just having it from the beginning of the game. You can just click and pick the person.
Yeah.
We had a couple questions that came up. Does it still have regions that you claim with pacing? Placing a city everywhere like it did in EL1? Or is it more dynamic? Yes. The world is broken into regions. We like making sure that the player is making larger, more discrete choices. I'm thinking about these 3 regions. This one has a resource that I want. This one has a couple better anomalies. This one is really big. It doesn't have much in it, but it's really big, so I could put a city there and expand a lot. So we want the player making larger strategic decisions rather than if I go one tile to the left or one tile to the right, kind of more minutia decisions. So yes, the world's still broken into regions, which are easy to read. And you put a camp in them to claim them, and then you can decide if you want to attach that camp to your cities or if you want to upgrade that camp into a full city itself.
Yeah, which is an evolution from EL1, because in EL1 each region was a distinct city, which for the players who enjoy playing very large maps would result in a lot of cities to manage, and that is curtailed a little bit by your cities here having multiple regions. And as the game progresses, you can add more and more regions into each city. And so
one of the things the land-based games have always had to fight with is the infinite city sprawl.
Yes.
Where they just try to pack them as close together because that's the best strategy. And space games get lucky about that because they have the planets. You have a finite amount of places, but in land-based games, regions also solve that problem by making sure.
I remember the times of infinite city sprawl. I think there might be players in our audience that don't remember anymore because they're too young.
Yeah.
There was like times of Civ 4.
This is interesting because something that has popped up in the middle of the game is like partners. It's not just a bonus, a buff for your heroes. It also gives you some quests, some events.
Yep.
It's like a really nice also to have a connection. You can see the connection between your hero and their partner.
Yeah. That haven that you have where your companion lives, if that gets killed by another player, like your hero will remember it and they can never select another one. So going and wiping out the haven of another empire's hero is a very jerkish thing to do, and they will remember, and also a very horrible thing to have happen to you. We had a question in chat about multiplayer. I don't think we're going to have multiplayer when early access starts. We're really focused on making sure that the single player game is solid and works well and bug free, but we absolutely plan on having multiplayer in the game, of course. So at some point during the early access period before we get to release, we'll put out early multiplayer in one of those builds so that we can try it out for us.
I think it's really important and really nice decision to just push first the single players to ensure everything in the game works, and then we can see like, okay, now we know multiplayer is something that the players want, including us. So some of us really like to play multiplayers, but we need to make sure the game works best in single before moving to multiplayer. Which makes sense, actually.
Heroes are weapon. Oh, we had a question earlier about being able to switch weapons on units. Sergio, can you show us? So this is on heroes.
Yes.
Heroes can get all kinds of equipment and switch it in and out as you find it. So that's all fully customizable. And then for
But to answer the
Yeah.
question coming from chat, are Sheredyn heroes always archers? Because in EL1, every faction had a specific class of hero they got. No, every faction has multiple classes of hero that they can be, and that's why the hybrid skills exist.
Yeah.
They are a unique combination of the two.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That on the unit side, you can't customize them like you could in EL1. That was very futzy, like Minimax ability. So instead, what we have is we have unit upgrade trees for all of the units in the game so that you can go out and decide how you want to specialize your units as you get appropriate resources and dust to be able to do that. So every unit in the game has a specialization tree so that you can decide how you want to design them. That isn't as specific as going and creating a blueprint for a particular unit type. Instead, you're customizing, you're specializing them as
Yes.
they.
As for example, here with the scout, we have the very distinct paths of the explorer is obviously good for exploring. It buffs the army movement speed a lot more than the base unit. Whereas the Harrier is more combat focused, applying debuffs to the enemy. So
Yes.
there's a very distinct choice. And with the Legionnaires, it's perhaps a little less clear cut because it's always a combat unit, but you have the one unit that is more about defending itself and its allies, and then the other one who's about keeping the enemy in place. And
Yes.
that way you can have the a more distinct flavor to your armies and maybe even find combinations that work very well together.
Absolutely. We're going to be changing those upgrade paths too so that one of them requires the strategic resources. Right now, both paths require strategic resources, just different ones. We're going to be changing. So one of the paths is strategic resources and the other one is dust. So, and the strategic resources one is generally going to be more powerful,
Yeah.
but of course more expensive. So
Yes, but
we
we
want players to
we
decide on that
obviously do
access to-
not want any player to feel like they got lost out of ever having a chance to win a war just because they didn't have the resource and
Yeah.
got rolled by somebody who upgraded their army.
That's a good point. Yep.
Now is the moment to unlock the chosen. You need that you already mentioned when you were talking about the.
These are the chosen that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the moment of.
See,
building.
see
You
when
unlock
when
these through quest. Is that right?
It's the question which I need to build the chosen. Here it is.
Because you are a Ken player, but did not build a military district in your city. So you could have.
no, he has
Oh,
no
you have
military
one. All right.
district.
All right. Take it all back. You have a stronghold there.
Yeah.
He's actually been using the Holy Commandment already as well.
Ah.
Yeah. Look at here. I have
It's just that
divine population.
Sergio is playing faster than we can keep up with. We should be talking quicker.
No. It's also because that way, if we have just limited time for each of the faction, I can try to move fast. So at least I can see the
finally,
monsoon. You see,
There we go.
others who will see the same thing.
All right. It's really, we had Winter and Endless Legend 1. We like to have seasonality to the world. We wanted a new version of that for Endless Legend 2 here on Saiadha. And for the first part of that is Monsoon, which we're seeing right now. The world has changed, as you can see. If Sergio had built any temporary bridges on those rivers, they would have been wiped out. You can see the oceans churning. There are new curiosities in the world. Those refill your movements and heal your units. We talked earlier about there are some minor factions that are hostile and there's some that are peaceful. Not during Monsoon. No, during this time they are all hostile. So the world becomes very dangerous here. A good time to attack your enemies and a dangerous time to be attacked. All your battle rewards you get are all doubled during Monsoon, so it's a good time to get out there and fight.
The monsoon is a time of dangers and opportunities, as opposed to the winter in Endless Legend 1, when a lot of players felt in the vanilla game was just punishing.
Yeah.
Once we had the Shifters DLC and you had the different effects you could vote for that had some bonuses and some penalties, that was different, but in the base game it felt very punishing.
During the start of Monsoon, notables come to you, and you can build a council to put them together. And they each have a specific bonus. You see your heroes that are in there. So Urach, the second character here that Sergio has selected.
Oh, you pronounce it Rach?
Rach,
I would have pronounced it Rach, like he's German.
Oh,
That sounds
of
more
course.
German.
Yeah. I don't know how it's correctly pronounced. I just know that he hates his parents for naming him Urach.
I mean, Jeff will probably give you a non-answer if you ask him.
But yeah, it allows you to customize your empire a little bit. You're choosing the bonuses that you want to be empire-wide. That starts the first monsoon. Every monsoon, you can change it. Or if you pay some dust, you can also shuffle your monsoon or your council during outside of monsoon as well.
Actually, just in case, because I see some people when was a bit confused, especially insiders, like, oh, how I can access the council? Basically, just here on the main empire
On the
screen, where you
empire
can see an
screen, yes.
overview of your entire empire, including some bonuses per population. Ooh.
Yes.
Well, in any ways, here you can go back to the council.
We've seen many questions from players after the gameplay preview went live about, hey, are there not governors anymore? And the short answer is yes.
Yes or
There's
no?
no governors anymore. The long answer is yes. The governors have been replaced by the council,
Yeah.
which is sort of in the same line as replacing the unit customization with the upgrade trees to give you more discrete, impactful decisions instead of a lot of micromanaging of
Yeah.
like, having a different hero in every city and leveling them up individually. Now, I did see a question again about the heroes in chat because they didn't quite understand what we were saying about the classes. So, to reiterate, no, every faction has access to multiple classes. So, in the case of the kin, because they're basic units, you have the legionnaire, that's a very tough defensive unit. You have archers and you have a cavalry unit. So there are three classes: are defender heroes, warrior, archer heroes, and warrior heroes based on the units you have. So you have the defensive melee option, the offensive melee option, and the ranged option.
Yeah.
And on the aspects, I think it's a warrior, an archer, and I think it's a caster, but I'm not 100% sure anymore. So yes, every faction gets 3 different classes. And these classes then combine with the faction to give you a couple of unique skills you can unlock with only that combination.
Yeah, and you can, if you, different minor factions will unlock new heroes, new units, so you can get access to new classes through those too. We had a question that came up about, is it tempting to put too much love into one particular faction when you're dealing with these asymmetrical factions? And the way we really get around that is every faction has a designer that's dedicated to them. So every designer has their favorite faction. There is a designer for the aspects. There is a designer for the kin that that's their favorite, and they put all of their heart and soul into that one. It's not just that there's one designer who's having to split his time. And that way they all have a little bit of a different tactile feel. So a faction, the player that really loves a particular part of the game may have a faction that really digs into that really deeply, and they have kind of a different tone and voice to them because they're designed by different people.
Yes, of course. For example, we will see later the aspects. They're the more diplomacy-focused faction, and they harken back a little bit to the Draken of EL1 with the abilities to force peace. But there's also that new spin on it with the coral that honestly is maybe a little bit creepy.
Creepy, it's beautiful.
I mean, don't disagree that the aspect cities are beautiful.
Yeah.
But when you consider, this coral field just grew into this minor faction village, and suddenly they are all pacified and part of my empire.
That's true.
That has a little bit of the Last of Us Cordyceps feel to it.
Yeah, true. Just accept it. I don't know why you're pushing back against this. Become one.
Oh, I know enough people who would be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Funny because it looked like Monsoon is really peaceful with me because I already
Because you already killed everybody.
yeah, but that's why it was funny for me. Like, oh, it's really dangerous. Like, yeah, normally it's super dangerous, but I was really lucky. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can chill out for a moment.
Honestly, it's a good strategy if you are the player that gets out of your city and you pacify your minor factions through bribes or quests, or you defeat
just
your
murder
minor
them?
factions. I was going to say defeat. You had to go straight to murder. To use a little diplomacy at the point of a sword, and you take care and make sure that your island is secure, you get rewarded for that. So monsoon happens, you get all the bonuses, but yeah, you're not going to have the minor faction armies turning on you in that moment and coming and going after your cities and your units. They're quite a mix of population in your city. That's
Yeah,
great.
actually, that's something that
Mhm.
perhaps we can mention or to explain how it works, because it's really pretty similar on how the population was on LS Space 2 and LS Legend 1, in which each population has different archetypes and different things. So it's really
Yes.
nice to have the combination of min-max everything. Of course, there is no need for you. If you
Yes.
don't want to overthink, it's okay. You can have it here.
For the people who do really enjoy the city management and
Yeah.
fine-tuning everything, yes, the population assignment is probably where you will find the most optimization, because they have bonuses based on categories. Sometimes some have bonuses based on whether or not they are together with other factions, how many people work in that job, all of these things. And of course, yes, every minor faction has a different bonus. Every major faction has a different bonus. Maybe some factions will benefit more or less from the minor factions, like the aspects unlock the population collection bonuses much quicker. That's another thing that's returning from Endless Space 2. That when you get enough people of a specific faction in your empire, you unlock additional bonuses. That can be a new improvement you can build. That can just be a buff to their output in your
Yeah.
cities.
We have a question. How close can you zoom in? Sergio, can you show us? Zoom into this.
Yep. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this and this. Beauty mode.
Woohoo! Yeah. So pretty close.
Yes, you can zoom in close enough to hear the meerkats playing and the crabs clicking.
Yes.
Also, some small detail that I think we mentioned in not sure what one of the stream, in which you can have small like, hey, hello, just
Yeah. They come out and wave at you if you mouse over them. Yeah, it's really cool to see.
small details, but I really like it actually.
I have a question. How many factions will be available on launch
Ooh.
day?
Well, that depends on how you define launch day. Talking about early access launch, we're planning on 4 factions. And for release, 6 factions.
Yes.
So, some returning factions, there's some new factions, but you'll have to be patient for us to tell you about all of them.
Tidefall is happening.
I love that we have this camera now. It looks so nice when
Yeah.
it sweeps across your city.
So this is the ocean receding. The map is changing. Another one of the big ones Kat had mentioned earlier, how we wanted these changes, the seasonality of the world to affect the world long term. So this is one of those things, like the map will be forever changed because of tidefall.
Yes. And before it comes up in chat, because it's bound to come up, yes, this does mean that there's no Navy gameplay in the game.
Yes.
Because we don't want your ships to just get stranded.
Yeah, it would be,
Sorry,
it would be
recurring
useless.
question.
Those oceans are leaving.
Yeah.
As we talked about, like you could get a little hint as to where these lands are going to come from the resources that were poking out of the water. So now Sergio has access to them, quite a bit of them.
Yeah, actually, I
Mhm.
was
A couple
lucky,
deposits there, a couple more deposits over on the or one deposit over there on the east. You have access to both your tier 1
Actually, I
strategic
really like this
resources,
region.
which is nice.
I'm gonna claim it so I can just get some deposit here, an extractor for the titanium deposit.
Somewhere on the planet is a thirsty Horatio, the long straw.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Well, you might not be entirely off base there.
there may
Yeah.
have been a screenshot that some people were wondering about in one of our videos.
Oh,
but,
yes.
yeah.
There's been a guest appearance in the III trailer.
Absolutely.
And something that you have been talking about before going to the battle is more heroes.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. We can see it here.
Yeah.
The 2 classes of Sheredyn hero we had not seen before. Defenders and warriors.
And then also an Amatrine, since Sergio pacified the Amatrine, we see
Mhm.
the hero that's available from them. They'll have a unique skill tree.
I can
just looks
see
really
the skill
cool.
tree if you want
Yes.
prior.
Yeah.
Because that's really nice. You can if you it's the first time you can see this minor faction or a new type of hero. It's nice to just take a look. Let's see what's new, what's
Mhm.
different, so you can have a dedicated,
And
a thoughtful.
another evolution of the heroes from EL1 that we hadn't mentioned yet is that now the heroes have these 4 attributes. that will buff the skills you unlock.
Yeah.
So you have, for example, one of the defender skills gives you more defense per might. So you can pick out the few skills you want, and then you raise the attributes, and all of the skills will get better. Or you could say, no, I want a more broad approach. I pick a bunch of skills, then to have a well-rounded hero instead of a specialist.
Yeah, Pierre really is the designer for this side of the game, and he really wanted to make sure you weren't just picking the same skill because you preferred that skill. It really matters. Hey, listen, this hero has 3 might, has 5 might. All right, well, maybe I would normally go and get this skill here, but boy, you know, there's another one over here that gets bonuses on might. Maybe for this hero, I need to do that instead. And there was builds. I'm going to be putting points into might, getting equipment for might, and then I'm going to build these particular skills for this hero. So it wasn't that even though there is flexibility on kin heroes and flexibility on kin archer heroes and flexibility on you know, those two things together in that hybrid tree, but you were also making very specific decisions and build decisions for this hero because of it, which works out really well.
Nice.
Who did you end up picking? And why?
I just got Hanji because I know the game.
That's one of the
yeah,
the
yeah.
hero
Sorry.
buffs that's quite powerful.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I have a bit of knowledge in the game that I
Yeah.
know what's really works really good.
I'm pretty sure that's either already changed or on the docket to be changed because it's
Yes.
just too powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Sorry.
We had a question. It'd be great if the 3D model matched the character art. Yeah, we actually have a lot of questions about that. If you go into the equipment panel, you can see we actually are using a 3D model for that
Yes.
hero.
Yes.
Yes, but
Let me go for
I
it.
do think it's one 3D model per faction class, so all of
Yeah.
the defenders will look the same.
Yeah.
But you will be able to see the equipped weapon on the heroes.
Yes, the weapon switches out. But yeah, those 2D portraits, it was really about, you know, what looks the most exciting and evocative on those screens. So right for now, we're keeping the 2D art on the other panels, but we wanted it on the equipment screen. We wanted you to see that weapon change, so we
Yes.
do use the 3D model there.
Though,
Oh, love that
I do-
chosen up there beating
you
up
have a-
bats.
a favorite hero, visually speaking, for the 2D art?
Not that I can say. That was a trap question.
trap.
I see how you tried to drag me into dark alleys and get me in trouble.
Luckily for me, mine is a minor faction. It's the Hydracorn hero.
Oh, okay. All right. You like
yeah.
those, your horses, huh?
No, that's the point. The Hydracorn hero is not
Oh, that's
actually
right.
a Hydracorn.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's, you know, it's just visually, it's like a really cool design.
On the questions, how does monsoon affect desert plains? It does not. A desert is a desert. The actual terrain does not switch for the short period where monsoon is there. So we're not switching yields or anything during that period. But when tidefall happens, all tiles get a bonus if they're adjacent to water. So a tile next to a river, tile next to an ocean will be getting a food bonus to it. So when the ocean recedes, those bonuses go away. So if you were getting a lot of food from your city because you're a nice, beautiful ocean city and you lose that access to water, it's not going to be a great food city anymore. So we do have some modeling that's going on there with the as water changes in the world, it affects your economy, but it isn't
Yes,
changing
for
on the
example,
short
also
scale for
the,
like just during monsoon or anything.
Also, when the oceans go away and the rivers get longer, they start drying out.
Yeah.
And then you can consider building dams to return a bit of water to your cities and get some of those food bonuses back, maybe.
Hold on.
Or if you're mean to your neighbors, you build the dam upstream from their city, and suddenly their food bonuses are gone.
Yes. And some of the factions really like water. Cat will play the aspects later. They love water. So putting a dam down to keep that river to yourself is really good for them.
Yes.
And some,
Others really hate the water, but we will not be talking about those.
I was just going to get ready to go there. All right.
Hoppa.
Ah.
Hola.
All right,
Too
this is
complicated.
Fortress.
Our first fortress. So when the oceans recede, there are lots of things you can find in these lands. Sergio found a fortress there. The interesting thing about fortresses is you cannot claim this region until that problem is dealt with. There are creatures that live there, and it has to be defeated before you can get access to anything in that region.
I mean,
But there's going to be a battle.
frankly, I understand it because I wouldn't be keen on living next to a visually present rift in reality itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be a bit complicated for me. I'm not strong enough for this, to be honest. Too
Oh
much.
yeah. That's trouble. The other cool thing is if you do defeat the fortress, and I agree, Sergio would get destroyed there. But if you do defeat it, you can choose if you want to get a bunch of influence from doing that, or a camp, so it immediately lets you claim that region. So if you win the battle, that
So
area is yours.
Let me move there quickly so we can see how I get defeated prior moving to the aspects. Run! Oh no. Easy.
Yeah, and while Sergio is fighting his battles here, another. We mentioned already that the Sheredyn, get very strong from their fortifications, and this one of the ways this expresses actually is a lot of the bonuses for the high entrenchment will improve your keeps. So it's self-reinforcing, so to speak, which is appropriate for a fortification faction, I guess. So their keeps are actually an economic investment and not just defensive.
Too good in this build, in fact.
In this build, they are a little bit too
Our
good,
insiders
indeed.
were sending us screenshots of just the map covered in keeps.
Yes.
Because they got so many bonuses out of them.
I mean, I believe that's just called a fortress planet.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Good.
Recovery shot.
Are you bringing your other hero over? Is that how you're going to try to get that fortress?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Good idea.
Oh,
Because otherwise
and
I
I
wouldn't be able
think
to do
he actually signed them as friends, so
Yes.
they get buffs in combat, don't they?
Yes, 20% actually. Be more precise. That's what I'm trying to do, like moving quick.
The latest Insiders build, we hide everything in the battle that isn't pertinent to the battle. So there's lots of things in there that you were seeing that are just, they look pretty. It's actually really good for a stream because the battlefield looks really varied and beautiful. But when you're trying to play, you're trying to, like, what, that big purple thing, what does that do? And it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So we hide all that kind of stuff. So it's clear.
I can already see now that we have the battle overlay that's easier to read.
Yeah.
Us on the marketing team will start begging production to give us a button to turn that off so we can make pretty pictures again.
I know. It's always a challenge you're making these. Like there's the beautiful answer, like I want the game to be as beautiful as possible. And then you have the readability problem of oh, there's so much pretty stuff here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at.
I think that's a struggle with all games, but I always feel it's especially difficult with 4X games or turn-based strategy games in general because there's just so much information that players want, but you can't turn it into a spreadsheet. Okay, some players love playing with spreadsheets, but that's not the game we're trying to make here.
It's okay.
Yeah,
spent a lot of time in my Excel.
Yes, and
I think Antoine said that was his favorite game. This maybe is his second favorite. His first one is Excel.
Yeah, and not knocking that, there's a lot of interesting games with very detailed simulations, but that's not the game we're trying to make here.
Yeah,
it's not a simulationist game.
Okay.
So what do you think? You got
battle.
5 units, 2 heroes, a chosen in there against 4, but they're Garog, they're big and tough.
Yeah. I think I can make it.
You think so?
Yeah, well,
what are you gonna do?
Otherwise, I will die.
This is your option if you want to just get the influence or if you want to get the camp. So you're going to grab the camp?
Yeah, I think I'm going to grab the camp, actually.
All right, so that would allow you to have this area.
Sorry, hold on. Oh, no. Let's plan there. I really like that. Okay, let's do manual battle here because it's sharp. Let's see.
Yeah, somebody in chat just mentioned that some of the streamers had problems with the quest would disappear and they would miss them. Yes, that is a bug in that build for sure. It should put a marker down on the map that if you want to pick it up, if you don't complete reading all the dialogue for it or skipping to the end, then it should put a marker down that you can come back to and do, and it does not do it in this build. If you don't read that, then you lose it. For the smaller quests, for the major faction quests, that's not possible. All right, let's see how you do.
The question is, I'm not sure if in this build we have the thing that if I kill the boss, the battle finished.
Oh, is that in this one? That was.
I'm
this
not sure.
is an old build. I don't remember
either.
either.
This is an old build. I think this one might still be you kill the tyrant and you win the battle.
Okay.
But a lot of our insiders found that made the battles too easy, so
Yeah.
we've changed that, and you now need to actually defeat all the defenders of the fortress.
So the
I
question
didn't
is,
mind the easiness so much. Like then that could be fixed by just making them stronger. It was the fact that there was really only one strategy.
Yes,
There's
yeah,
no
that-
point in
that's-
spending
that's-
attacks on anybody
that's-
else.
That's the thing,
that's out
exactly.
now.
It's like you can make any fortress battle easy by just bringing a powerful enough army, but when the strategy always amounts to focus fire the one dude, that's
Yeah.
very one-sided.
then should I just force myself to not kill the boss and just
No,
kill the
that-
rest of the units?
Well, that depends. I can't see the time. how-
It's-
how-
It is, it's
how
been an
long
hour.
are-
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and kill him,
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Kill
We'll
him
see
and
which
we'll
one it is.
switch to the aspect
there.
soon.
And let's gonna kill it with the nice skill.
Rain of arrows. All
No,
right.
it's not finished. Let's
Oh, you
go.
thought you were gonna get out easy.
Nah, it's okay. No worries.
Hey, kudos to the team that made it into the
Kudos
build.
to the
That's
team.
good.
That we're gonna have a good bad time, Sergio.
We had someone ask biggest upgrade from over HK and over Endless Legend 1. I think from Endless Legend 1, like the new battle system was something that is a big deal.
I'm
I was
torn.
very happy to see it.
As for improvements from EL1 between the battle system, because yes, this is very good.
Yeah.
But I personally I like the battle system in EL1, but I understand it was very obtuse.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to get into. So this is definitely much more immediate and tactile, which is fun in its own way. That you feel your decisions, but also just the change to the monsoons and the tidefall, because I played EL1 without shifters back when it first released, and yeah, it really was. Unless you were playing Volters, who had skills to be immune to the winter, it could get very frustrating.
And from Humankind, oh, we got to switch. Do you want to have any? What is your favorite thing from Humankind?
Favorite improvement compared to
from
human?
Humankind, yeah. I think there's the fantasy of it. Like what?
Yeah, I was
it's
about
gotta
to say,
be the
honest-
asymmetry. You
Honestly,
can't do that much
the
in a,
fantasy aspect and the asymmetry it brings, because
the
I like
things you
I
can't
like
do
a-
in a
I
historical
like
game.
a historical game, sure, but I have been a fantasy nerd for like 25 years, so first fantasy 4X game I played really was actually the mod you made for Civ 4 back then,
Fall
for
from
From Heaven
Heaven,
2,
yeah.
and I love that to this day. It's still installed on my PC. I just don't have time to play it as much as I'd like.
All right, sounds like we need to switch.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
I think we're gonna determine a win for 43 turns. Way
I mean, 43 turns, that's a third through the turns you have in this
for
build.
this build.
so-
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
so
Yeah, you did. That was a very fast playthrough.
ma-
I've watched
you
some
made good
players
time.
play, and they go much slower.
Then I'm gonna go for the main menu so we can make the switch. I think as an introduction for the aspect, I'm not sure if we can put the video of the aspects. I don't see Etienne.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the
he-
amazing
thumbs up.
producer here.
The powers that be
The master power, the mastermind here.
are people standing right
I
off
see,
screen and
I
they have
see
tasers.
Arcaldis trying to trick us into getting demonetized. Arcaldis, I know Dr. Kane's joke. I will not repeat it on stream because Twitch will not like it.
Then I guess.
Oh,
stream.
tooltips. Yeah, the nested tooltips. This is the first
Yeah.
Amplitude game to have nested tooltips.
Yeah, but they want us to not call them nested tooltips, and I'm not gonna say what they want us to say.
Yes.
But,
Yeah, sure. Say it, please.
it is not trivial to put in. The team did a lot of work to get those in, but they make such a huge difference for being able to understand the game and to be able to, without kind of putting text everywhere and big descriptions all over the place. So you can dig down into things as you need them.
And Ionic Naga, yes, CK3 was perhaps the first widely accepted implementation of it, but Old World did it before, and before that At the Gates.
Yeah, John Schaefer invented it and at the gates. So all credit to John. And then once the rest of the industry saw it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Well,
Gates is
let's
fundamental.
switch over to the aspects.
Yes.
The aspects seek harmony and balance for all of Saiadha. Born from a symbiosis of the organic and the machine, their core unites all aspects through a shared mind, the chorus. But recently, the great dieback quickened many aspects' connection to the chorus. Now, they must regrow and rebuild to return balance to Saiadha and its people. The aspects focus on cooperation with major and minor factions, as well as their symbiotic relation to the coral that thrives in the waters of Saiadha. Instead of claiming territories the way other factions do, the aspects first placed coral spores that will slowly spread coral to other tiles. These corals help aspect cities grow and extract dust from their surroundings. They also offer military benefits, letting aspect armies heal and move faster, and even cross any water with coral in it. And if the coral spreads to a minor faction village, they will be more than happy to join the chorus. Once part of the Aspects Empire, these factions provide even greater benefits than they would for other factions. In their quest for harmony, the Aspects have also learned to convince other factions to join them, letting them enforce treaties and peace deals on others. This becomes easier the more coral spreads through the other empire's lands, though they will also reap economic benefits from the coral. Should diplomacy fail, the Aspects military is also quite capable, especially when well coordinated. Thanks to their harmonious tactics, any unit that prepares to defend will empower the attacks of their allies. Their ground troops engage their enemies in melee, weaken them, and set them up for the killing blow delivered by their archers and the powerful sky scales. It's up to you to restore harmony and lead the Aspects to victory.
And we are back.
Yes, we'll see.
And now with a
did
face.
Did they change your label? They did. Oh my gosh, the people behind the scenes are so good. Look at that.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
willing to bet money it would still say cat on there, but there's
It would be funny, but no. I like my name as well.
Look, I wish transition were that easy.
well, hello, welcome back. We just Sergio was just playing the kin, and now we're gonna have a chance for Kat to play the aspects. We will see how she does.
And we'll see if I'm as lucky as Sergio was with his spawn, but
Lucky,
I have a
she's calling it
feeling no.
luck. Did you hear that?
It's a skill difference, okay? It's a skill difference.
It's not that Sergio's exceptionally lucky. It's that I am exceptionally unlucky.
Coordinated, perfect. No,
All
no.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. The aspects are our diplomats.
Yes.
What's unusual about them, we've had diplomatic factions in endless games before, but for them, they're very tied to the world through coral, which is an organic creature that they can create in the world and will spread following certain rules that the player can't directly control. So coral likes water. It will spread along water faster. So the aspects also like water. And coral has quite a few benefits. If it spreads across a minor faction village, it pacifies the village, which Kat says is creepy.
Well, in a way, you see, you have coral growing into your city, and then like, oh, I love them. You know,
That's
it's
right.
like in a kind of a creepy way.
Look, I'm all happy with people joining a hive mind as long as they consent first.
And they're hanging out at airports with their head shaved. It's a very different world.
Yeah, and there is something that we didn't saw here because we were unlucky with the beginning. It's like all aspects are connected with the chorus, with this mind, which is super amazing. That's why we saw some people, some content creators that were confused, like, why they can talk to me now, but they are far, far away from me. Because Sir Mind.
Yep, the coral is the chorus. There is one chorus in the world, and all aspect players connect to it. So they connect to each other through the chorus because the chorus gives you visibility. Every aspect player can see through every piece of coral in the world. So that means they can see each other immediately, as
There you go.
Kat has right
Speaking
here, just right
Speaking
from the
of.
beginning. And then another aspect player is saying, "Oh, I see you through the coral. I see you through the chorus."
Yeah, and I
Well,
guess
And
if
they're
you
not just
zoom out-
saying they see me, they immediately want a peace deal because we're all part of the same mind. Why would we
Yes.
beat each other up?
Exactly.
Well, I guess there are plenty of people who would say their own mind beats them up plenty. So maybe the peace is not as guaranteed as I would like.
Yeah. Where they are, by the way, it's like far, far, far away, right? I guess. Hola,
And they're
there
over
you
here.
go.
So they're pretty much exactly halfway around the world.
Yes. Yeah, basically, yeah. Half the way of end of the world, if you want to say that.
And
word.
the reason why I got that contact now is they founded the city, and so the capital tile will have a bit of coral
Yeah,
on itself, and that's why I could see them.
they got the lucky one. 2 anomalies and a minor faction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good place.
If they're lucky, it's gonna spread right here, and they're instantly pacified. And
Yep.
meanwhile, I'm still walking around trying to decide where I'll settle.
Maybe the
Yeah.
minor.
We want these.
I mean, there's a nice river here, so I might grab this area.
Yeah, getting along water is very good for the aspects. We want these mechanics to kind of bleed into multiple parts of the game so that players who play differently still have a chance to use them. Like, say, the coral helps with diplomacy. Like, look, you already have connections right away. Coral, as it grows through lands, gives bonuses to the tiles that it's on, and they can set up treaties with other factions that allows that other faction to get bonuses from the coral and also gives some of those bonuses back to the aspect. So it's a win-win if you're willing to have treaties with the aspect. So again, it really strengthens their diplomatic power.
Or otherwise, they can kind of force you.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
Yes.
with enough influence, the aspects can force you to accept their treaties, which is fun to see some of our more warlike factions suddenly becoming very peaceful.
Yes,
when
and
the aspects are dealing with them.
and it gets easier if there's coral spreading through the enemy empire, which brings
Exactly.
us back to, so is this symbiosis or is this mind control?
Yeah,
A little of everything. I want to say.
Just a little bit of mind control.
mind
It's a
control
treat.
before the coral grows, and then afterwards it's symbiosis.
It's just a little bit of mind sharing as a treat.
Yeah.
What a great area you have. Look at all the forest there. There's so much
This is gonna be
industry bonuses there.
a
Yeah,
nice
you're going to be an
industrial
industry
city.
powerhouse.
And so a small shout out for our artist team because they have been working really hard on the rivers, even though here
Yeah.
is not the latest version. It's even better, but it's really nice the rivers. I want to have this small shout out for them because it's really nice.
Yeah, they've done great work. The water looks better in the current build. It looks beautiful here, but it looks even better in the current build.
Yes.
The rivers look better. The waterfalls look better. Yeah, they just do beautiful, beautiful work.
Actually, I'm not sure if something we explained is because, no, sorry, in the King of Sheredyn, my starting district was the workshop, and in the case of Aspect is the farm. So perhaps it's and as we also to introduce the different play style of each of the faction there.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you have different choices depending on which faction you play
Exactly.
as. So I think they had two for the aspects. One, they could have built a farm, or they could have built the influence
Exactly. Yes,
district.
And
as well.
this is another thing that was changed based on player feedback because
Exactly.
originally you had all districts available regardless of which faction you were playing. But for one, that was very overwhelming for a new player to immediately have like 8 different districts as options. You didn't know what any of them were doing yet, what upgrades you could unlock for them. But also it made all of the factions kind of have the same starting strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of the factions that hasn't been revealed yet starts with the laboratory, starts with science, and I have a hard time going back after I play them. I love that starting laboratory so much that
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
great.
it's for me always the first researches I do if I don't start with them is the forum and the lab.
Yep.
Because science and influence.
Yeah.
Interesting. Normally, I don't go to the forum, but it's depending on the faction. It's true. The King of Sheredyn, I tend to favor as well that kind of a strategy. But redacted faction, perhaps I don't go for the
Yeah,
influence.
true. That for factions like the aspects here, where my expansion
Yes,
placing the corals uses dust, the forum is maybe a little less important.
Yeah.
exactly.
The player insiders are saying that influence is like the god stat early on. Like they're really going hard into it, but I don't do it when I play.
No.
I'm usually blocked on something else. I'm usually going research or industry.
Yes. Also, it depends on the build because with all
Yeah.
the changes that we have been doing,
Yeah.
now of course it was super mandatory at that moment, I think.
Yeah.
But now we added more like symbiosis, if you want to call it symbiosis now,
Yeah.
between the building, the synergies. So now you have other ways to generate a bit of
Yeah.
influence. So it helps a bit on not make you the forcing to go into that research.
That's true.
But yes.
What minor faction is that? That the daughters?
That's the daughters, yes.
All
that's
right.
that's why my
Oh.
poor archer is almost dead because the daughters are quite deadly in combat.
Yeah. Daughters of Boar.
So I wanted to talk about the combat, but it's true, like your hero is already kind of dying. So it's like, no.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
a much luckier. I mean, the Amatrine beside you. Those are
Yes.
good neighbors. Cat has a much more difficult position here. Got all that industry though.
But luckily, the quest is easy enough. It's just such a point of interest.
Okay, fair enough. But that's also why maybe in the later stage of the gameplay we will see how the combat works, because of course you can expect perhaps weaker units because it's a diplomacy, but actually it's not that weak. You have to work really well between the synergy between the units. You favor the archers. So quite interesting gameplay as well on the combat side.
Yeah, I was so used to playing the kin that when I tried to play the aspects in battle, I was just dying. And I told the designers, like, you need to boost these guys. They're too weak. And they're like, no, you're just playing wrong. And they were right. I was playing wrong. Once I learned that, okay, their battle affinity is really good. If somebody defends, everybody else gets an attack bonus. You need to stop playing them as individual units and think of them as a group. So these guys are going to defend, these guys are going to be my attackers, and really work on them as one big creature, one symbiotic creature.
Yeah.
Then suddenly it started working. Also making friends with some tanky minor factions that you can put up the front lines, also very, very handy.
And to answer Tishinobu, if is Endless Legend 2 already released? No. The current date is summer.
For early access.
For early access,
Not even
of course,
for release.
Of course, for early access. Yeah. Of course, the game's going to be released in early access, yes. It would be funny if I say like, no, not early access, no.
Well, we saw a game this week that just kind of announced and then dropped same day. Shadow drop.
Yeah.
So I think the Xaviers did some bad diplomatic calculus there, because they gave me the quest to raise my hero by 1 level.
Oh,
the only
no.
dudes around that I can fight to gain experience are other Xaviers.
See, this is what happens when you allow a German to play the game. These are the kind of answers that you get.
I mean,
can you zoom in on the Xaviers? They're like my favorite art for minor faction. I know you like your Hydrocorns.
I really like
visually, these are also amazing. You can see them here, all the little
ghost babies.
I guess.
Yeah, these are ghost babies that are kind of puppeting a big suit and pretending like they are. I always think of them like as Renaissance festival goers is what they kind of start to me. It's cool because in their animations in battle, like you'll see them swing and a ghost baby will go flying out of the armhole and then it come running back, and they're so cool.
Dr. K have a question which is funny, like, on Endless Legend 1 we have the sisters, and Endless Legend 2 we have the daughters. What's the next?
We have the nieces. No spoilers. The nieces are coming in Endless Legend 3.
but as we were saying earlier about the minor factions,
That was funny.
For the aspects here, I actually find the Daughters of War a quite useful faction to assimilate, because they have infantry unit that actually gets stronger if they're damaged, so they will make a good frontline unit to back up the archers I start the game with.
Yeah, they're very, very good frontline soldiers for the aspects.
Actually, I do have enough influence to assimilate them, so...
Yeah, I mean, they don't need any because unlike every other faction in the game, they don't need to pay influence to assimilate somebody. They just cohabitate with them and start getting those bonuses right away without having to store up any influence.
But isn't that changing, actually? The
The
cohabitation.
No, I think it's staying. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
I mean, depends.
Things change day by day.
Things change. I think the team is trying to simplify some of the areas, but I'm not sure if that part will be kept or not.
I know we had the 2 selections that were going down to the 1, but I think the behavior on the there's our flying squirrel again.
The flying squirrel, yay!
Are you guys seeing the flying squirrel on the stream, or you just skips the game? The God in the cloud says that you are not. It is just us. I promise you, we are all sober at this very moment. We're not making this up. There was a flying squirrel.
It was a flying squirrel. Perhaps we should just make it appears again.
To counteract the jokes about my German heritage a bit, I will open a screen that Sergio has. I don't think opened at all. Because he couldn't, since he hadn't met any other factions.
Exactly, that's why. It's not a purpose.
The diplomacy screen. And we have already the non-aggression pact that they proposed to me.
Yes.
We could, in theory, form full military alliance, but we need to invent that first. So the options we have right now would be cartography and vision exchange, and we can see cartography they're happy to do without any incentive. Vision exchange they're not willing to do at all. But sometimes when they're kind of on the edge, it will tell you very clearly, oh yes, they would do this, if you bribe them and will
Careful,
clearly
don't.
tell you this is how much they want
Yes,
to sign this treaty.
exactly.
But let's actually see what's going on over on their island.
Yeah, the
A bunch of expansion is going over on their island, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Looks like the AI is doing well. That's great. That's good to see.
We need to keep
Yeah,
the same rhythm.
I've been neglecting my placement of the corals a bit because I've been trying to find the bounds of my island first
Yeah.
before I place them.
Now that you cohabited with the daughters, can you just have the population as well? I'm not sure if it's already
Yes,
generated or not. Actually.
I'm pretty sure I have some population of the
Yeah.
daughters. Yes.
Yes, that way we
Got
can
some
see a bit what is the benefits. Industry. Okay.
Well, I think the more interesting part here is the 5 experience on units. So if you get
Yes.
a bunch of daughters in your city, you're just building elite soldiers fresh out of the barracks.
They're pushing you to go to
Very
war.
good.
I'm not
But
saying
here's
anything.
one of those synergies with other populations I mentioned
Yes.
earlier. So
Yeah.
if we have 2 of them working in the same category, then we get a bit of extra influence from the aspects.
I love that part. I love you were talking about it earlier, Kat, that we have these side systems that you don't necessarily need to understand for your 1st playthrough. Like population, a new player doesn't need to ever touch it, but
Yes.
the more experienced players can. But since you don't really need to understand it to play, you can get in and just play. Our combat system is honestly like that too. You can instant resolve almost all of your battles and not learn the tactical combat system and just enjoy your first 20 hours of playing before you said, hey, listen, I want to get in there and I want to fight these tactical battles too. So anytime we can design a system where these are ancillary systems that you don't need to understand, there's already so much to understand in these games.
But I would be sad
Makes
if they skip the battle because I think it's one of the best things we have. No, I really enjoy the battle system
Yeah,
here.
we got
yeah.
some
So it's like,
feedback
no,
from
don't do
people
it.
about we should not let players do instant resolve on these, and we thought about it, but at the end of the day, people can play how they want to play.
Which is fair, of course. You don't want to maybe to do all your battles. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna take my time to do the boss battle, the
Yeah.
fortress, and these
Yeah.
kind of things, and then the rest of them, some of them yes, some of them not. Also depends a lot because we have seen on the statistics. Because of course, apart from the feedback we get, we have the amazing team of the data team that is collecting feedback, and we can see the percentage of people that decided to use instant resolve or manual. That's also help us to identify if there is a problem.
Yeah.
Is it because perhaps it's too easy to do instant resolve? Are they too generous?
Yeah.
So that helps us a lot.
We see. I'm actually kind of impressed that a lot of people do fight the manuals manually. For some of them, for the ones that matter,
Yes.
most players are going to do exactly what you did in your battles, which is it's a minor battle. There's 2 units over there. I got this one. I'm not going to play
Yeah.
it out. Just instant resolve and go on, which is exactly what we want them to do.
The harder the battle, the manual you're gonna do it. You don't want
Yeah,
to have the odds
exactly.
of like, oh,
Yeah.
would I die? No. Yeah, it makes totally sense.
Someone said that the battles are their favorite. We have a game designer dedicated to the battle system. You have just made his day. So Pierre will be very
Yay.
happy.
Apart from one of the faction that really like combat, Redact.
Yes. Yes. We were talking earlier about the fact that there's a different designer on each faction. We have a very military-minded faction,
I think
and Pierre is the designer for that as well as the one who handles battle. So he loves battle, and you can feel it when you play his faction. You're like, oh, these guys want to go
I mean,
consume the world.
it's not. I mean, I think we can see the name, but they have already seen it.
I don't know what you're talking
Okay. Sure.
about. Say whatever you want. I am just not getting in trouble. All right. Somebody said
It's
consume for the swarm.
The yield went. You see?
Yep. There you go.
Asking for it.
Yep.
I want to say it. It's fine. It's fine. I won't say anything, even though it's confirmed.
and another thing we didn't specifically point out earlier, but
Yeah.
maybe chat spotted, some of the technologies you will notice will
Yep.
have a little faction icon,
Yes.
and so they're unique to the factions.
Yeah.
So, for example, the aspects can unlock additional cohabitation and assimilation slots very early and make their defending units even stronger, whereas the kin get just a bonus to defense
Mhm.
always
Yes.
for their units and stronger keeps. Let's
Yep,
see
correct. That is
what's
correct.
going on.
And we can see
I
now the
guess,
coral
yeah,
is spreading into the water.
Oh yeah, another cool
Nice.
advantage to coral is the aspects can walk over any tile with coral on it. So if it spreads over water, they can cross those tiles. So they don't need to build a bridge on that river if coral is there. And even getting access to other islands, if coral spreads between the 2 islands, they can walk over the other island before tidefall happens. That is fantastic. So
It's also
Yes,
because we boost the movement, so it's easier
yeah,
to cross.
I,
Less
I am
cross.
hoping it will spread over here, and maybe we will get to see that.
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
No, the water's already taking its leave.
We love water with the aspects. Yay!
It's a good thing that you have those daughters bore allied since they're so close to you.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
tough, because right now they would be problematic.
happy.
They spawn more armies during the monsoon. But they won't, because they're pacified.
Yeah, we are really pacifistic people.
No, honestly, generally, when I play 4X games, I'm actually a quite internal pacifistic player. I try to have non-aggression treaties with everyone,
Yeah.
so I can just build my cities nice and beautiful and productive. And then eventually the relations go sour anyway, and I'm sitting on a stockpile of nukes.
Yeah.
A lot of players play that way. Like, they don't fight a lot. When they fight, they really fight. Like,
Yes.
okay, my overwhelming force is going to come wipe out this other player. But one of the things I love about Endless Legend 2 compared to the 4X games is you have these small fights that you can do. So even if I don't want to go to war with another player, I can go attack a fortress. I can go wipe out some minor factions or defend myself against some minor factions that are out there. So there's still military opportunities for me to pursue, even if I'm not having to go to war for it. So it's a nice balance.
It's like a PBA side, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah.
Or I want to call it that way.
Yeah. All right.
Ooh, the first one. Ooh.
This one is nice right now
Yes.
because I have a quest to build 3 foundations.
Okay.
So yes,
Ooh.
please give me that discount.
I think the hero as well, this give you really nice bonuses for attaching or getting spores, if not mistaken. That one.
It's for camps, actually.
For camps. Still really good from my point of view.
But since you were saying we want to see more battles, maybe I should take more battle
Battle
spoils.
spoils. So they're already going to be doubled during monsoon anyway. So now they'll
Yeah, but I
even
think all
better.
the minor factions here are actually already pacified.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Just
there will be
spawned.
plenty of battles after the waters recede, I'm sure.
Yes.
Because there's always dangers hiding under the waves.
And let's explain, because I saw the coral just spreading out. Let's explain how it happens. If not mistaken, right now there is some turns. I think that this build is 3 turns. Every 3 turns, the coral will grow. That's something that, of course, we are always balancing. And basically, what they do is try to go to water, to minor factions, and also to major factions. If not mistaken, that's the kind of the order. So they try to guide for you, because otherwise it could be very frustrating, and that's something that we receive in early versions of Insiders, not on this one, which it was a bit of like, oh, but I have the minor faction here. Why cannot pacify it? So that's something that we always improving.
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, about me being exceptionally unlucky.
How so?
The city
Why?
just finished a laboratory.
Yes.
And I get a quest to build a laboratory.
We're changing
If
that.
I had gotten the quest
Yeah.
1 turn earlier, it would have instantly finished.
Yeah, it's we are changing that so that it's going to be have X amount of laboratories instead of complete them, so that
Yes.
you aren't punished for having already done it. Yeah, which would be nice.
Get more foundation. More foundation.
Yes, I'm trying to decide in which
Where to
direction
go,
to
where to
expand
go.
my
Okay.
foundations.
Foundations are just there's 3 ways to upgrade your cities. The first is foundation. That's basically claiming a tile and saying, I want this to be a part of my
Yes.
city. Putting a district on there, that's a building, and then improvements, which make your city better. So the first step is that foundation is just spending influence to say, this is now part of my city. And for the aspects, if coral is on that tile, then the influence cost of grabbing those foundations is half cost. So
And also
another
giving
benefit on it.
dust, if not mistaken, right? If not mistaken, the tiles get
yeah.
modification on dust if the coral has been growing there. So it's guiding you to where to grow.
But in the end, I did need to grab a tile a little to the north because I need more industry in this city.
You're in the middle of a forest. You should have industry choices aplenty.
Yes, but the
Yes.
coral grew towards the water and not the forest because it
Yes.
loves the ocean.
Maybe
Coral
you
likes
get
water.
Pacify 2 villages by coral. Oh no, everybody's already pacified. I guess I have to wait for the for the
You will
tidefall.
have new options soon enough.
you have a camp. Perhaps it would be nice to attach it, or something like you don't want.
Well,
because of
it's
the
not a
industry, you
camp
mean.
yet. It's still
Wow,
a
not yet, okay.
coral spore, and I just spent the influence on the foundations.
Okay, fair point.
In this build, you were talking about when coral grows. It's specific to each coral generator. So every coral reef, every block of coral has a coral generator in it. That's the heart of it. If it is killed, If it's destroyed, then the reef stops growing. And each reef has its own timer for when it's going to grow. We're changing that so that there's going to be one global timer so that the all coral grows on the same turn. And the big reason we're doing that is once it's all kind of unified, we can put a marker up at the top of the screen for the player so that he can mouse over it and say, well, okay, what is this? Okay, this is coral growth. It's going to happen in 2 turns, and this is how the mechanics behind it, how it works, so they can understand the feature a little bit, because players are a little confused.
And also because it's helping you, like, okay, I have this minor faction here nearby. Let's wait 2 turns to see if that's pacified. And if not, perhaps I need to go for battle or for quest. It's also helping you to planify what you're going to do.
One of the listeners says, take a shot each time the streamers say coral. Somebody's going to die on this stream.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
I had a joke slide about each of the factions, and I think the one for the aspects was, every Christmas, you know what you're getting for Christmas. It's coral.
It's going to be
every year on
coral.
your
It's
birthday,
always going to be coral.
You're getting coral.
That's funny. I haven't seen that one. That was funny, actually. I have all the meme, but I cannot say it here. Again to me. Ooh, more money. You already specify all the minor?
You both play with your yields on all the time, huh? Like
I mean, I can't turn them off right now because I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's just the used to from all the games like Humankind and LS Legend as well.
The artists cry, having their overlay over their beautiful, beautiful world.
I know.
On the stream.
Well, it's more that I don't have like 100 hours maybe in EL2, so it's not as ingrained in me yet. Which tiles give me which resources? In time, I will probably be able to play without the yield and just eyeball how much I will get in a spot. But I'm not there yet.
I like to see the numbers. Give me all the numbers there. But that's me. No worries. Aspect Santa only gives coral or coral. Aspect Santa. Oh, that's nice.
Santa.
Oh yes, adds more defense on all units per might, and this hero's good on might. On resilience, not might.
Okay, it's because I think we're gonna see the statistics on the right side. It's hidden from us. You want us to see. Build.
Let's actually get a Daughter of Boar.
Nice. You're preparing for the tidefall happens to expand quickly?
Yes.
Nice.
I expect we can see this is this is not a cliff. So we'll probably be able to walk down here, and there might be some dangerous factions waiting down there.
You are the dangerous faction.
This is lies and slander. You simply do not understand the harmony of our mind, of our sharing.
That's right. He bears coral.
They still don't want to do vision exchange.
Fair enough.
Maybe we can get them in a slightly better mood by giving them a treaty that doesn't matter. Yeah, you can walk into our borders.
Sure,
You're on the other side of the planet, but...
Look at it. Listen, you more. You almost reached the end of the world.
This is actually a nice feature that I think is pretty unusual in 4X games, that when you put an army here in guard stands, you actually get a bunch of bonuses for defending.
Yes.
It's not just a sleep mode.
Yeah. I'm a little worried that those bonuses don't build up over time. They're immediate. So there's there's an exploit there where a player can, right before he gets attacked, guard and then get all these bonuses. I don't know.
I didn't follow that.
It may make more sense to have it grow over time.
It might be better if they applied like the turn after.
Yeah.
Already with the mentality of how people can exploit X things or Y.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the same thing.
Sorry, you've met our players and especially our VIPs and insiders.
Yeah.
You know how they are.
No, and also I got the mentality as well by default, like, oh, but hold on, this one I can exploit this way, right?
We had a question about the lighting. Is it this moody or is this only temporary? This is just during monsoon.
Yes.
So there's a short period here where we are, these storms are raging, where all the minor factions are hostile, where you're getting bonuses for going to war.
The minor factions would be hostile if they weren't all part of the great the chorus.
Yes.
That's the word.
So yes, this is a time of threat and opportunity. So that's the lighting that you're seeing right now. When the monsoon ends, it will go back to more daylight environment.
And not only minor faction, other dangers that would appear later in the game that they have not seen.
Yeah. Every time we go through one of these monsoons and tidefalls, there are new mechanics that are introduced. We saw
Exactly.
Sergio running into fortresses. That happens after the first tidefall. There's also new strategic resources that became available after the first tidefall. After tidefall 2, tidefall 3, there are more other things that will be exposed to, new mechanics that you have to deal with. Other things, secret things.
We cannot say anything.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So chill your expansion. Let's go to the water. Yeah. When you mean like they die like boom with the coral.
See that could actually happen in Endless Legend 1 when you had the Shifters expansion. In winter, it could freeze over certain water tiles, and if you were still there when winter ended and you hadn't invented transport ships, they would just drown.
I think you can just leave them out to explore otherwise.
We had that
Well,
problem.
I kind of want them here so I can see what's spawning there when the water falls.
We had that question here with when monsoon hit. If you were on a river,
Yeah.
and monsoon hits and changes that from a stream to a full river, do we kill the army that's there? And there's some other elements that change the game dynamically. And do we kill armies? And we tend to go not do it. You have a whole army. It just feels kind of cheap to just lose everybody because you're standing at one place and didn't even realize what was going to happen there. So it doesn't feel like a very fun moment. So we tend to move the army instead. But I love that monsoon knocks out temporary bridges because on a lot of maps, the island you're on will be broken into two because there's a river. So you build the temporary bridge, you go across, you find trouble over there, and then monsoon wipes out the bridge. So you are stuck there. You can't build another one during monsoon. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to deal with whatever trouble you found. Looks like
Um,
monsoon is getting ready to end. We're going to see the change of lighting here.
Nice. And to answer Dr. Ken in Spanish, thing is well, yes.
Yes.
The cable. I'm
And-
breaking things. Ay.
We can see here this Xavier's village was on a tile that already had coral, so they're already pacified.
Oh, right. Oh, that's
These other
great.
guys aren't.
Hmm.
So
But I see the glass steel, so perhaps it's a nice.
we do have
addition.
glass steel, so this is actually and there's a luxury resource here as well. So I'm probably
Yeah.
going to grab this region.
I'm not
pretty
seeing
quick.
any fortress there either. So that means you can just go take it.
Yeah.
Well, once I
Hola.
have enough dust. I have
You already built too many spores.
I have a bunch of spores here to grow all over my starting
Jeez.
island with
Well, you
coral.
don't need dust.
But we
to
can see
do
here.
that. You just need influence.
No, for the corals you need dust.
Yes.
No, but I'm talking about going and putting a generator down there, right?
Well, I need the spore
Ah,
first.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can keep exploring the new areas to see if
Yes,
you get
I will
into
just
other
pick up
major
the dust
factions.
from curiosities that are lying around here. Oh no, there actually is a dungeon. I wouldn't have been
Ah.
able to put it down.
Nope. I don't think that's in the
Oh no,
region.
it's
Oh, no.
just past the border.
Yeah.
Ooh, lucky.
Ooh.
But yeah, we can already see here like the next tier of resources is right next to me, so that is actually somewhat lucky. But I don't see any titanium, so I'm limited to the kind of upgrades I can do to my units.
Yeah.
I see a question asking if do we still have the paradigm of a primary and a secondary minor faction village, or is that kind of a bug? I've not seen any primary or secondary. That's new for me when I read that. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm not sure either.
I don't think we
I'm-
have
I'm not-
primary or secondary.
I'm not sure what they're talking about either because we never had primary or secondary villages
if-
in any of the endless
Please let
games.
us know if you have seen that one because it's a bug. First time I hear about that, to be honest. Just to think, but no, there's no.
No, let's actually.
You go
see. No,
full
this
war
one
with the diplomatic
is
faction.
this one is experience on new units. It's not buffs. Yeah, because there's fortresses to possibly clear.
That's true. Do you bring all your units to the fortress?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my army back and merge it with the daughters here, and probably try to build a second unit of daughters.
Yes. Or you're gonna
so
need
that,
that.
so that I have slightly. Well, this one can be quite useful if you have it upgraded because it has a good defense expert and it gets debuffs to the enemy when it defends. so you can buff the damage of your other units quite substantially.
I see the clarification that the
Okay.
person put here in chat. Yes, if you are doing the quest, it is for all of the minor faction villages in that region. So if you pacify them, it's going to pacify all of them. If you do it with Coral, you will just pacify one of the villages there. Bribe is also the same. If I bribe a village, I'm just bribing that particular village. Bribing, I don't think it's actually in this build. We changed it, I think, afterwards.
Yeah, we're changing it now. I think depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
so now when you
changed it,
bribe them, you actually get a free unit from them. So
Yes.
nobody was really bribing them. They were always doing the quests or destroying them. But
Yeah.
now it's really tempting to give them some dust, get the free unit. We also, that feeds more free units in early in the game. So a player has a different strategy than to dedicate his city to producing units early on. He can let the city build infrastructure and then spend some of that precious dust out building his army in the fields too.
Yeah, I think I was trying to use bribe more with redacted faction, but with the others, it's true. Like I tend to favor more like conquest because at the end, it's always an opportunity. Do you
Yeah.
want to do a quest which pacify all the region and you don't have to rebuild them,
Yeah.
or rather you go for war in which then you need to rebuild them again, but you get the experience.
Yeah.
So it's always like a balance, like depending on what do you want or also your play style. So
Yeah.
it's really nice actually. I really
Or you
like
saw what
that.
Kat did. Kat with the minor faction asked her, "Hey, could you level up your heroes?" She said, she drew her sword and said, "Yes, I can." Right now, in fact.
Well, I didn't actually end up doing it because the hero happened to level up from collecting a curiosity, so they got off easy.
Lucky, lucky.
There's some of the Xavius that's like, here's some goodies right there. Just collect that. I promise it'll do it. You don't need to kill me.
But funnily enough, on this side the water recessed, and I found Xavius. On this side the water recessed, and I found more Daughters of Boar.
Okay.
I think the
That's
game
I
is
like
trying
it,
to
yeah.
tell me something here.
Then you need to keep integrating them into the symbiosis.
Speaking of, I could, in theory, evolve this into a camp, attach it, and then add the next one. But fortification for pacified village, that's not as so tempting as
I think
as
you should. My advice. I think it's interesting to save that influence to just integrate the region with the.
yeah, exactly. If
Resource.
that had been a really good assimilation trait, maybe I would have done it, but it's not an amazing trait.
Is there a tooltip information that clarifies the scale of bribe oral assimilation versus a region-wide minor faction quest? Wow.
Wow. Look at that.
Oh no.
Oh, you found the kin.
And here's what I
There
was saying
one.
earlier. It's telling us, oh,
Yeah.
yes, oh, we'd love to have peace.
Or some dust.
That's
If
gonna
you
be
pay us.
trouble.
That's mean war.
Yeah.
And everything else they're not willing to do.
That's going to be like, here's some free coral. Then we'll
I mean,
talk,
I
we'll
mean,
talk
I
again in a
can
couple
tell
turns.
here's some free coral.
Here's
Share
some free coral. We'll talk
exploitation.
again. Give me 20 turns to build some influence.
But they,
I
but
think
they
you're
want
gonna be on
something
my
I don't
side.
even
Yes.
have. So
That's actually really interesting because
eight of the tier 2 resources actually quite steep. When I only
Yes.
have 10
Yeah.
and can't harvest it yet.
Yeah.
So no, sorry Sheredyn, that's not gonna happen.
it's okay. You can just build a spore there and let it grow to
So-
their own territory.
One of the things that we're seeing here is everybody starts on their own island in this map archetype. So you're relatively safe. Like you have the minor factions there. The daughters could cause trouble. But you're a full faction. They're minor factions. Like you're probably not going to lose the game to them. Unless you're Sergio.
What?
Yeah. But after the first tidefall, we always make sure, map generation makes sure to build land bridges between your starting island and other players' starting islands. In this case, the kin starting island. So this is when trouble starts and you start to get outside of your little safe borders. And sometimes it's the kin on the other side. Sometimes maybe it's another aspect player. Sometimes maybe it's a
Redacted.
horrible, yes,
Hor- hor-
horrible
hor-
monster that likes to put everything in its mouth.
I don't know what you're talking about. And I think you have a battle there.
Well, we have
Ui.
the Black Hammers over here murdering my poor envoy.
Run. Ula,
I
you
mean, they
don't run.
already ran last turn, so they're dead.
Bang.
But also, here's some Xavius, and I do have that counselor that gives me extra battle spoils that I happen to need dust.
Oh.
4 against 2.
All right.
And
Now we
and
see how coral is really made. Coral's made from people.
yes. See, every young aspect studies one book at school to serve man.
Yeah.
But it's also nice because this way we can see
We can
how
see
it works.
actually how the
Yes.
skills work. Yes.
So should we let you discover or explain? Otherwise, okay. Here we have the scout units. I don't see the name.
This is
Is
the
the envoy,
envoy.
yeah.
It's not upgraded.
Yeah. Well, in any ways, how they works is like when they go closer to the enemies and they decide to defend, it will apply a weakness status. So the idea is like to place your envoy near the enemy and then attack with the archers.
Yeah.
Yes, and not just will they weaken the enemy defense, but the aspect battle affinity means when this unit defends, everybody else gets a buff to their damage.
Exactly. It'll be funny. I mean, 4 against 2 should be easy fight for you.
Well, the Xaviers are actually, quite
Defensive.
tough with
True.
12 defense and 160 hit points.
Perhaps
That's a lot of ghost babies.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ghost babies I got to go through. Yeah.
So it's the babies that give you defense. Okay.
What's the scope shot? Well, the scope
So
shot might actually
zones
be
of
good here.
control for units in combat. We did put Zoc in. We talked about it. Like Zoc just being, if you are moving within a tile of a unit, you can't do your full movement. We do have attacks of opportunity if you move away from somebody there, but we didn't put Zoc in because that makes battles super, super sticky, and it tends to make players just go head to head against each other and just beat on each other till they die, where we wanted the battles to feel very fluid, and we wanted the player to have lots of opportunity for, listen, I can move over here, I can move over there. If I move next to that enemy archer unit, they're going to get penalties trying to shoot anybody if they have an enemy beside them. Do I want to do that, or do I want to stay here, or do I want to try to guard? It does, the disadvantage is it does create situations where it's kind of hard to protect your units because they will just run around you and go for your archer hero.
As I am totally not through bad strategic decisions demonstrating here.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now with the size of battlefields we have, we did not put Zoc in because we want you to have lots of options about where you want to move to. You can also push units around a little bit, so there's some attacks that are going to knock a unit back. So if you're using area of effect attacks, you could try to knock the enemy units all together into one clump and then rain down fire on them, things like that.
And
So-
also, if I'm mistaken, there are also some passive or even main or faction that also reduce the movement
yes.
of the enemy. So it's more like, again, this is kind of a strategy to think like, okay, as the enemies can move around me, maybe I need to make a line, a more defined line, like to make sure they cannot pass unless they have flying.
Yeah.
And then, oopale.
Yeah.
Or some skills of heroes that also can move quickly during the battle.
Or just teleport. Yeah. Some of the
Yeah,
heroes
that
will just
was thinking of
teleport to
teleport.
another part of the battlefield. And strike from
Here, here we can see for once actually the skill. A lot of times when the enemy has low defense, the skill, the scope shot skill of the archer hero is not super useful because the big deal is it ignores the defense.
Yeah.
The Xaviers have decent defense, and also I get debuff to the damage I
Yes.
deal with a normal attack because they're next to me. The skill is not affected. So
Nice.
that's a
very
nice
cool.
nice hit of
Exploit,
the Rain of
or as
Arrows there.
designed.
We're going to be taking away all of those 70% of attack plus 3 per might. Like, we're getting rid of the percentage. You shouldn't have to do math to do this. Those are always going to be just good attacks. It's your normal damage plus whatever.
Are you telling me
guess
I
so
cannot
far.
create an Excel file?
That's right. You shouldn't have to have your calculator beside you. Which attack should I use? Good job, Kat.
Well, I was looking for dust, and instead apparently I found mead.
Oh.
Well,
Hey, sounds like a
Epa.
good deal.
Well-
actually, that's a
Well,
good
I mean,
question
if
because
I
I'm not
have
sure
it, actually, I should probably actually
how it's working.
use
If
it.
you have a knockback, will it trigger? I don't think it triggered opportunity attack.
I don't think so either.
No,
I don't think
so.
you can force one through knockback.
But this, imagine the exploit. Like you have 2 heroes or something with knockback. Like you knock back,
They're
in,
just
you
playing
knock back
Pong.
out.
But
Yeah.
see, I'm complaining that I found meat, but actually, no, that was very good. 10 dust per city. That's like a 30% increase in my dust
Yep.
production.
People wants to pay for the hydromel, so they give you the dust. Did you bring hydromel? Let me pay you. Well, I really like that actually. The rain of arrows. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, that's one of my
I love
favorites
it.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, the area of effect. Yes,
Yes.
please.
The players always say that they want the healing shot that archers have, but yeah, for me it's rain arrows. Like I'll heal later. I can kill you now.
Yes.
You have time to heal your units when the enemy is dead.
That's right.
We'll get super units.
Will we
in
get
this?
su- Yeah, I mean between the equipment power ups and the level up skill options, yeah, they can get to be a little crazy. In fact, the insiders have found some crazy builds.
Yes.
They're like, I defeated an empire with my hero, and they show us, and they're like, oh, yep, that's a little bit
That's
out
a
of
little bit
control.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because we have a specific thread. Like, please, if you find like crazy things, post it here. And it's
Yeah.
quite funny to read. Like,
Long.
oh,
Yeah.
now my archer have 2,000 damage.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right.
Well, to be fair, some of those are actually just bugged. Like the
Yeah.
Yes.
the what was it, like 12,000 points of shield or something like that? That
Yes.
was clearly a misplaced comma somewhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are some unique characters running around the world, and one of them had a sword that was, way too good.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yes.
But then you see them just using normal skills, and they post the screenshot, and it's like, oh, this hero deals 400 damage per hit and has 80 defense.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to feel overpowered. I agree. Yeah, I like it's the Magic the Gathering kind of strategy. If everything is broken, nothing is broken. So
Exactly.
how far can we push this before nothing else in the game matters? So you don't want to go that far with it, but yeah, you should always start with a question of what would be fun, and then if we have to fix it, we will. But let's start with big craziness and see what's fun to play.
Actually, there was a question that perhaps we can showcase. They were asking how many tech eras we have. Only 6, if not mistaken.
Yes.
So perhaps, Kat, you can just open if you don't mind and just click on the next button. There's a lot of options here.
And actually,
return.
the error progression is also something we're constantly tweaking based on the
Yes.
feedback,
Exactly.
because it's very important for the right feeling of the pacing.
Yeah.
This will probably feel familiar to fans of Endless Legend 1, the extremely powerful endgame text, but as you can see, there's construction stripes here. This stuff is not quite done, and we will not get to it in 125 turns anyway. At least
Yeah.
I will not. I'm sure some of our insiders could.
Most likely. I will do it now.
Yeah, that's really good. And one of the philosophies that we had around the tech tree was, yes, you have the techs in different eras, but there's also unlocks just from getting to that era. And we really tried to change it so that there isn't a mandatory couple techs that every time you get to era 2, like this is always the one you get first. If there was one that you always got first, then
Yeah.
let's just give you that unlock when you get to era 2 and make your choices a lot more interesting.
You wouldn't happen to be talking about the tech I'm just researching as the first thing in Era 2.
Which one? I didn't
Which
catch
one?
which one you're going after.
It's
I think I
the
can imagine.
titanium and glass steel
Yeah.
mines.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody had to do that. So in the new build, like you don't need a tech to be able to get these strategic resources. If you
Yes.
have you've already done a lot to get it. If you have the region, you've claimed it, you can automatically build the extractor on top of it, start getting that into your empire, start using it to upgrade your buildings, upgrading your units, and having fun with it. But just as Kat has done, everybody, first time they got there, they spent this whole game getting to those resources so that they can get them and they can upgrade their units. Of course,
Yes.
they're going to have to go after the tech first.
For me, it was always that one or the market defense. One of the two always.
Which
At
one?
The
last,
market.
Oh.
at last, enough dust.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Oh no! Oh no! No no!
You need to destroy that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
there
we have
they-
a non-aggression pact. I can't. Curses!
Just cancel it.
Well, the nice thing, of course, is even if I don't get the resource extractor,
Yeah.
I can research. I think it's on this tech.
You're in era
Somewhere.
3. Almost.
Right. Yes. Here, the trading post.
Yeah, the trading post. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
That's
once
what
I
I was
do
calling
that,
the market.
I
Yes.
can just
Buy them.
buy them.
Or you can just destroy a camp and just get.
I have such a hard time buying things like that if I know that they'll come in over time.
Yeah.
As always, the curse of turn-based games is I'm like, oh, I'll save the money and just hit end turn a couple more times. But I know I'm better off to just go ahead and buy it now, and then I have 3 more turns of having my units upgraded.
You get just
The-
free titanium.
The unit
yeah.
upgrades, of course, are nice, but for me, the most important is always first the economy upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you know
that's
those snowball.
Yeah.
Oh no!
the solos, I love them as well.
Oh no!
They're trouble.
They are indeed trouble.
Nice. Now
There
you
we
can
go. Now
get
we
them.
have, in theory, we have the mines. In
Yes.
practice,
Aye. But neither you or the other major faction can claim the region. So
yes. If I'm
That's
quick
okay.
enough and I'm sitting on a bunch of influence, if I recall correctly. Actually, yeah. Let's unlock some more diplomatic.
we want to see more heroes. Got more heroes. Claim it. Run, run, run. Nice.
Aha!
All right.
Ah,
Good. All right. That is yours.
Just
Means
just
it's
get
hang
the
on, hang on. First,
yes.
I might have enough dust
yes.
to
I
get
want to
this
say
right
that.
now, and then I can attach it. If I, is there anything else worth
Okay.
exploding here? I mean, I don't think the yields here are that great. Oh well, there's some good food here.
It's an
That's-
anomaly. Yeah.
That's actually something that we're currently changing. Actually, we're balancing this. After the first type, all the regions that appear is going to be more interesting for you to claim. So
Yeah.
kind of pushing you for establish your secondary city or your camp in this case. Always tweaking things. That's the magic of the game designer.
Yeah, I actually think this is not the most interesting
Okay.
region for me to attach because the yields are not so great.
So you have cities. The cities are in the region that they belong to. You can also attach, but you can only do a certain amount of them that you can attach to your cities. So Cat could just leave it as a camp.
I think I might actually just try to create a second city over here. I just need a little more influence.
Or attach to make the region the cities in larger, or just as she's doing over there, make it into a full city. Have another production queue, another group of population that
Oh,
she can
Damn
manage.
it! Misclicked and attacking from the
Aye.
wrong direction, but it should be fine. Just
Ooh, that's a lot of dust.
Missing the epic scale aesthetic of the. There's been a bit of talk from Endless Legend 1 veterans about missing the epic scale aesthetic of the old cities. Do you think the focus of the more smaller scale city aesthetic will, if different gameplay mechanics, is a better choice? I don't know. They're both good. I can tell you why we did it this way, which is we wanted you to be a lot closer to the world. There's been a lot of work put into making this a beautiful world to explore with lots of detail. So we wanted you to be able to zoom in and see all of that detail and just see how impressive this world looks. I think the artists have done a great job at that. If it wasn't for people turning on their yields over all of the beautiful, beautiful work. Once you have that much time and attention into being able to, for example, see each of the individual trees, you're not looking at a forest, you're looking at individual trees. And that's really cool because during monsoon, when you're playing the game, if you look at the trees during monsoon, like you see them swaying in the breeze, you see the individual leaves moving during that storm. So that's really cool detail to be able to give. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you're absolutely right that what you don't see is you can't have individual roads through each of the buildings, and all the cities aren't at this small scale, which the small scale allows you to see the city of hundreds of buildings that's all built together.
Mhm.
So that was an intentional choice to go one way instead of the other. We think there's an advantage to it in being able to show the world in a lot more detail. When you build a bridge, it's not a little thing that's 4 pixels wide going over the river that's 8 pixels wide. It is a big bridge that that you can look at the detail in the rails across it. You can see all of that there. So we like it from the beauty standpoint, but you're right, from the scale standpoint, you're not going to see this hundreds of cities. So it's different than Endless Legend 1. So we're curious to see what players think.
Personally, I actually find, yes, sure, we've lost the epic scale.
Yeah.
But if you think about a lot of, like classics of fantasy literature, it's always, focused on the small group of heroes, and a lot of the places they go to are also very small and compact. So I do feel it does sort of fit the theme of the heroic fantasy here.
Yeah.
Because you think of stuff like, Lord of the Rings, Frodo is not living in a giant town.
No.
The only really large place they go to is Minas Tirith.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And how is it called in English? Hell Abyss?
It also helps on the readability side too, where
Yes.
it's much easier to glance at the city and see, even without the yields on. It's easy to glance at that city and say, okay, I have 3 science buildings there. I see 2 farms because I see the green on them and the blue on the science. And
I mean,
so readability helps a bit.
I'm always a player who values the signs, but the game really wants me to build a lot of signs this time.
Yeah,
It keeps telling me build more labs.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really important, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's only so important because if you don't have the industry to build what you've researched.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned Endless Legend 1 doesn't have specialized districts. Yeah, but now when you just glance at that city, you can kind of read the outputs, what that city was built for, and there's a
Yes.
fundamental difference there that you didn't see in games that have more of a city build, or at least harder to see.
Yes.
Well, I have a feeling the kin really don't want me around.
Yeah, I think you need to use the sword on this. In this case, the bow.
Yeah,
I think the powers that be are telling us that it's getting close to time to wrap this up.
Yes. The power is telling us.
Powers.
The share mind over there is telling us to go
the
away.
chorus is speaking to us.
Yeah. So, Kat, is there anything you want to do before before we end this?
Yes, a fight with against the king.
All
It's gonna be
right.
the first time
Well,
we see.
is it really gonna be a terribly impressive fight? They have one chosen, like one scout over here.
It's a half of our stream here, Sergio and I. Look at that coral reef, though. It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Actually,
Are doing
It-
good.
it's
God's
funny
work.
at the end when you have more advanced turns. You have the entire map covered in coral. Like everything is mine.
It was really hard for the artist to come up with an
Yeah.
overlay where you can clearly read the coral, but isn't like drowning out everything else that's there. These are hard things that when they're done right, like it seems so simple, but yeah, you have to work on that quite a bit to add another layer. You take this very full strategic map with all this information on it, and then you tell the artist, oh, by the way, too, we want to be able to show tiles that have coral on it. And they're like, you just can't put things on top of things on top of things and expect
Yeah.
it to be readable. It's not the way the brain works. And
But
like, all right.
one very nice aspect of, as we mentioned before, the coral gives you vision, not just sharing vision with the other aspect players, but all of the tiles have coral. I can see, so I have pretty decent amount of information of
Yes.
my island here, without having units there to provide the vision.
Somebody's asking about the narrative victory type. That is a great signal to get off the
Yeah,
stream
that-
before we say things we're not supposed to.
We'll talk about that. It goes against with all the redacted factions.
Yeah.
The same.
Yes. No, we are not talking about victory types yet. Right now, the only victory type is the one that apparently both Sergio and I were aiming for: kill everyone.
There's also a time victory that's in right now if you have a high score by the time
Yeah,
the
they
game
have
ends.
the
Yeah.
two major.
But
reasons.
yes, there is much more coming, certainly.
Does Cora affect only the aspect that is laid down, or all aspect players? All aspect.
It's always shared.
Yes, always share.
Coral does not belong to anybody. It is the chorus. Everybody gets it. And even players that aren't aspect can get some bonuses from the coral if they create treaties with aspect players. So
Yep.
again, the aspects are our diplomatic faction. We want to give them lots of levers and lots of reasons for other players to want to make deals with them. So coral is a big.
It's like coral is gonna grow on your area.
Yeah.
Do you want to embrace it,
That's right.
or do you want to force treaty to embrace it
Yeah, that's right.
even more?
Yep. Okay.
Now she's complaining that I attacked her after she kept refusing my offers of peace.
I mean, you're attacking.
I mean,
it's so-
she just walked into my borders. What did she expect?
Free passage.
It almost feels like she's trying to go after the other aspects players. She's just
Yeah.
walking through.
Yeah, with a small units. Interesting.
All right, Kat. Thank you very much for playing.
Yeah.
It's been a joy for everybody on the chat. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah. Thank you very
Sergio,
much.
it's been nice doing this with you. Kat's been fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should do that more often, to be honest. I
Yes,
know
we,
people
we
will
have
love
not
to
been
do
streaming much in quite a while
that's
because
true.
we didn't have anything fun to show, but now we do.
it. And actually, also because we are really focused on getting the feedback and work on the
Oh,
next
yes.
Yeah,
builds.
speaking of the feedback, like right now we do have the Insiders program going
yes.
on. We love getting people into playing the builds, giving us feedback. The game is not perfect yet. There's still information we need to know, but it's a big game. So getting people to play and let
Yep.
us know what they like and what they don't like is so important to be able
Yes.
to do what we do. It's part of Amplitude's DNA. So if you're willing to participate, we welcome everybody to
Yeah.
apply.
If you just sign up, I think in the following days, Probably you're not gonna join us on the next build because it should be around next week, the next week after, but for the next build, so in a month or something like that. So please, if you haven't signed up, do it now. That way we can just include you for the following builds because we always get more people. So it's
Yep.
really nice to get those new users, the new meat.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
I am many things. I have been many things. God,
Outsider,
wanderer,
captive,
but the names I have had are nothing compared to those I will soon earn. I carry a searing flame that has flickered yet never extinguished, and an iron mantra that cannot be broken. The waiting will soon be over.